Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Morgan, one of the editors on the Hot Tea team. Sorry to disappoint. Hopefully you'll be back to hearing Ray's relaxing vocal cords very soon, but for today you'll have to deal with my raspy, annoying voice. No, I'm not sick. I was just born with an annoying voice. Anyways, if you're new here, hi. We post videos every single day involving all the latest internet tea and things, but today's video is different and very serious. We're going to be talking about a missing persons case, which I do not want to be taken lightly and labeled as tea. This is serious and a person's life is on the line right now. This story is not to be taken lightly, like I said before, unlike a lot of the petty internet drama that we talk about usually. Today, I'll be going over the timeline of what has been released and what the public knows about the disappearance of 22-year-old Gabby Petito. I'm going to try and cover all the information that's been released, but by the time I edit and upload this, I'm hoping more will be known. Before we get into it, I want to start off by saying that since this is an ongoing investigation and the person is still currently missing, I would have not even considered talking about this case out of respect for the family, but Gabby's brother and dad have spoken out pleading for everyone around the world on social media to talk about Gabby, get her story out there, and bring her home. So hopefully by making this video, I can at least inform just one more person about Gabby being missing so they can share with people around them and get more people aware and looking for her. In July of this year, 2021, Gabby Petito and her fiance Brian Laundrie packed up their belongings in a tiny renovated van and left Florida to begin a cross-country road trip. The couple had previously embarked on a trip across the country 2 years prior. They drove from Florida to California and then eventually back to Florida, but during this trip they were in Gabby's small Nissan Sentra. This time they decided to commit to the van life and go all in. Gabby's Pinterest is filled with ideas on how to transform a van, and from the looks of it, she did a great job. Considering the van and the Nissan from the previous trip are both registered under Gabby's name, it seems like Brian just kind of bummed along while Gabby planned, committed, and paid for it all. That, of course, is just my own speculation, and none of that has been released to be true or even talked about to be true. So, they began their trip in July, and just from following the timeline of Gabby's Instagram posts, we know they stopped in Colorado for a while and then made their way to Utah. It was in Utah that they got in a public altercation, which led to the couple being pulled over by the police. The fight took place at the Moonflower Co-op in Moab, Utah. I looked this place up and it just looks like a small food store, kind of like an indoor farmer's market, like a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods, but like smaller and more fresh produce, I guess. I don't know. I'm assuming the fight started inside the co-op and then the two went out to the parking lot. Both Gabby and Brian explained the fight to officers and their stories matched up and were pretty much the same. Brian was more calm and collected when talking to the police, even cracking jokes and laughing with the officers while talking. Gabby, on the other hand, was hyperventilating and could barely speak. The couple separately talked to police officers and pretty much described the same events. So basically, it was said that Gabby was upset that Brian was dirty and the van was disorganized and he was like getting in the van, making it dirty. And Gabby claims that she has OCD, which led her to be, quote, mean sometimes.
Some days I have really bad OCD and I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated.
Brian locked Gabby out of the van because he claimed he needed to breathe for a minute and Gabby wouldn't leave the van. Like, he wanted her to go on a walk so they could kind of get some time away from each other, and she was trying to get into the van that he locked her out of.
She just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her, so I locked the car and I walked away from her.
There was shouting and shoving, which led to people noticing. Gabby and Brian left the Moonflower Co-op, and someone called the police to report the incident. Shortly after, the couple were pulled over, and that is when they were questioned by police. No charges were pressed, but the police came to the conclusion that Brian was the victim in this domestic abuse situation, and that the two needed to be separated for the night. Brian was given a ride to a hotel that the police had arranged for him, and Gabby was given the keys to the van to sleep in for the night by herself. This all happened on Thursday, August 12th. The full body cam footage from one of the officers' perspectives has been released, and you can watch the entirety of it on YouTube. So a couple things I want to point out from the footage is how much more emotional and distressed Gabby seems. Gabby is asked by an officer what she does for a living, and she explains she quit her job to travel and is starting a blog. As someone who works with social media for a living, I understand it's just easier to say, like, yeah, I have a blog to some people. Like, it's exhausting to explain to people what YouTube is and how you can actually make a living off of it, especially if they don't understand or they don't seem like they understand, like, the social media world. It's easier just to say you have a blog, but Gabby had been filming the entire road trip and compiled it into a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing video posted on her and Brian's YouTube channel that goes by the name Nomadic Static. I think that this YouTube channel was probably her main priority, but this was the only video that was posted on it before she went missing. It's hard to watch this video posted on their channel knowing that Gabby's missing, but if you take it for what it was intended to be, it's a beautiful video, and I hope Gabby can pursue her dream career of traveling and posting her experiences. Anyways, sorry I kind of went off on a tangent there, but yeah, Gabby brings up that she had so much work to do with her blog and that Brian didn't believe in her. It's really sad to hear this, and I feel like she had more she wanted to say, but something told her to stop. Just listen for yourself.
What do you do for a living?
I just quit my job to travel across the country, and I'm trying to start a blog. So I've been building my website, so I've just been really stressed, and he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it, so that's kind of been like I don't know, he's like down there. I don't know, we've just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
Told me I needed to calm down. Yeah.
No one can deny how distressed Gabby was from start to finish in that body cam footage, while Brian, on the other hand, seems to be completely calm, especially the longer the footage goes on. When an officer tells Brian he was the victim in the situation, Brian smiles and kind of lets out a nervous laugh as if he doesn't agree with the statement.
At this point, you're the victim of domestic assault, and even if you didn't want to pursue this.
But he's kind of glad that the officers, I guess, are like on his side in the situation. I think there was more to this than meets the eye. No one will really know what happened and led to the events that took place that day except for Gabby and Brian. But there has to have been a bigger reason as to why Gabby was so upset that day. Another thing I want to point out is Gabby's Instagram posts on this day. I'm assuming she posted these photos before the altercation took place, but I still wanted to mention it. Gabby posted a series of photos from their latest excursion with a long caption about what all they did that previous Monday. Keep in mind, August 12th was a Thursday, so she was kind of reflecting back on the Monday, so a few days prior. Many people think that Brian posted these photos and wrote the caption to create an alibi for himself. In comparison to previous posts and captions written by Gabby, the most recent ones posted on August 12th do not match up. They're long-winded, while her previous posts were short captions, maybe a paragraph at most. It's just strange. I'll include like screenshots of some of her previous Instagram posts with her typical captions, and then I'll include the long-winded caption posted on August 12th, and you can pause to read it if you would like to. Another thing I noticed is that when Gabby and Brian were pulled over and talking with police, Gabby asked for water.
You have enough air back here, or do you want me to kick it up some more?
Do you have any water?
I will see if I can find some.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
While the officer went to get her a bottle of water, he offered some for Brian. The average temperature in Utah during the month of August is over 90 degrees, so hot, like insanely hot. And Brian turned down the water, stating that he doesn't like plastic bottles.
Do you need any water?
It's okay.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. I don't like plastic bottles. Okay. Thank you, though.
Look, I understand trying to protect the environment, but he is standing in the desert heat and turned down a bottle of water because it was a plastic bottle. Why am I bringing this up? Well, listen to this caption posted allegedly by Gabby on her Instagram on August 19th, a week after being stopped by the police. It says, almost immediately after telling @BizarreDesign, which is Brian's Instagram handle, how happy it made me to see that people were truly respectful of the park. I watched some guy leave his processed, prepackaged plastic conglomerate of lunch garbage on the picnic table. Hashtag respect your national parks, hashtag live sustainably, hashtag live plastic free. And the photo posted was a photo Gabby had previously already posted on her Instagram story 6 weeks prior. My point here is to just bring attention to how serious Brian took not using plastic when offered the bottle of water, even though it was like an intense hot situation, you know what I mean? Could he have also written this Instagram caption pretending to be Gabby? I don't know. Just kind of strange to me. Seems like he was a little more committed and a little more extreme to the granola lifestyle, if you will. Moving on in the timeline, Gabby's family say throughout her trip, she consistently stayed in contact with them up until August 30th. This was the last time they heard from Gabby. Her mother received a text saying no service in Yosemite. Gabby's mother claims she does not believe this text was written or sent by Gabby. Just 2 days after this text was sent, the white Ford van arrived back at its original spot in Northport, Florida. Except unlike when they left, only Brian Laundrie returned. That's right. Brian drove all the way back to Florida without Gabby. As soon as he arrived back at his parents' house, he hired a lawyer and refused to speak with police or Gabby's family. On September 11th, Gabby was reported missing by her mother. Since then, the case has gained traction online, especially through TikTok and Twitter. Media outlets and protesters have been standing outside of the Laundrie home, pleading for Brian to speak, shouting, "Where is Gabby?" One of the most current updates at the time of filming this is that the police have arrived at Brian Laundrie's house to speak with his family per their request. Police came out of the house to retrieve a brown paper bag out of their car, likely to be used to place evidence they found in the home. Authorities also seem to have been searching a silver car parked in the driveway of the home, but it's also been speculated that maybe the family just asked them to go get something out of the car for them since there was so much press and media outside their yard. Northport police tweeted that the Laundrie family doesn't know where Brian is and that he isn't in the house. So yeah, this dude has refused to speak or help in finding Gabby, and honestly, his silence speaks volumes. It's pretty clear he knows more than anyone looking for Gabby right now. He could share information to help bring her home, but is choosing and has been advised by his lawyers not to. The police were at the Laundrie home for 2 hours speaking with, I'm assuming, his mother and father. But now, not only Gabby, but also Brian have been labeled as missing, but to me, I think Brian should be labeled as hiding. I don't think he's missing. I think he chose to leave his house and go into hiding. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this is an ongoing case and there's still so many unanswered questions, but the main one is, where is Gabby Petito? If you happen to know of anything that may be useful in finding Gabby, the FBI has a tip line you can call. It is 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's going to be the end of this video. Hopefully Gabby is found and is found safe. I'm putting all my positive thoughts and energy into that. I will be keeping up with any new information and I encourage you all to do the same. Thanks so much for listening and make sure to share Gabby's story with one of your friends or just anyone around you so that we can have more eyes on the lookout for her. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.